Tottenham against Manchester United, a win for Tottenham. What was it, 14th against 15th, two sides in the bottom half of the table, and it really showed. I thought not a game high on quality. I thought Tottenham were good. Man United were dismal once again. Firstly, before we get stuck into Manchester United, what did you think of James Maddison and his big celebration?
Oh, I thought it was pathetic. You seen that? Yeah, no, I thought it was pathetic.
So if you haven't seen it, he did his usual dart celebration down the camera, and then he did a big shush, didn't he?
I don't think you can shush anyone.
But it was aimed at Rory Keane, wasn't it? Because I think Rory Keane made some comments that
you don't have the right to shush anybody when your team's sitting 12th. You don't have the right to shush anybody when you have been abject for basically a season. You score one goal, a tap-in from 2 yards, literally a tap-in from 2 yards against the worst Manchester United team of my lifetime. You know, a team that is totally depleted, totally demoralised, totally destroyed, in the bottom six. You score a tap-in against them, and suddenly you're putting your fingers in your ears. You're cancelling out the haters as if you're Kim Kardashian. It was really, really...
Are you being a bit celebration police here, though?
No, I'm not at all. Not at all. But celebrate. I'm the opposite of that. You know the celebration scenes that we saw at Goodison Park? Mm-hmm. Beautiful, glorious.
And recently Arsenal Man City.
And that was a draw. Arsenal Man City, Lewis Skelly. Loved it. I'm not the celebration police.
So why can't Madison do it?
Because your team are in 12th. Your team are in 12th. Like you can celebrate like mad when you preserve almost preserve the integrity of Goodison Park. It meant that the Everton and Liverpool in contests at Goodison Park ended a draw. If Liverpool had won that game, Liverpool on some level would have owned Goodison Park. They would have won games there more against Everton than Everton won against Liverpool. This team preserved the parity, preserved the record, and preserved the status of Goodison Park. It mattered. It really did matter. James Maddison doesn't have the right to shush anyone. It's comparable to when Harry Maguire scored a header against Albania, put his fingers in his ears, cancelling out the haters. It's like, mate, you scored a header against Albania at Wembley for England. Like, this isn't it. I'm not celebration police.
It's his chance to respond to Roy Keane, essentially just, criticising him. I do agree, not unjustly, because he hasn't had the best season at all. But it was slightly out of the blue. He just picked out Madison as a player to go for. It was Madison's chance to come back.
I don't think that's how you silence the critics. Is what he was suggesting. Too much chat, silencing the critics, shushing the press. That's not it. If you want to do that, if you want to let your football do the talking, you have to ultimately succeed. You cannot shush anyone. You do not have the right to shush anyone when your team's sitting 12th.
And what did he do a little TikTok as well?
Well, this is the other thing. I think this actually is indicative of who James Maddison is. Okay, scores a winner against Manchester United. On some level, that's huge. He then took it to TikTok, chasing a viral clip. Like almost the first thing on his mind when he gets off the pitch is to try and go viral on TikTok, which I believe is a platform aimed at teenagers. Like, what are you doing? What you do, a professional footballer. You're a professional footballer, and one of your priorities is your TikTok account. I mean, if anything, all this has really done, in my opinion, is amplify and justify Roy Keane's critique of James Maddison.
You actually think that he's
bought in. Like, everyone's going, he showed Roy Keane. No, he didn't. Roy Keane is now more correct than he ever was. Roy Keane is now totally and utterly bang on the money, and James Maddison has proven that he is about as average, as definition of average as you can be, by reacting in this way to a tap-in against the woeful Man United team. Like, you don't celebrate. He's celebrating a goal against 16th place Manchester United, or in the bottom six. 15th place Manchester United. He's celebrating a goal against them as if he's won a European Cup. Like, isn't that the definition of average? Yeah. Isn't that what being an average footballer is? If I scored a goal against Man United in those circumstances, I'd react like that. James Maddison is meant to be, the public face of Tottenham. He is meant to be the marquee midfielder of Tottenham. He's meant to be a player capable of playing for England. That isn't how players capable of it. Do you think Frank Lampard reacts like that with his team sitting in 12th?
Do you think that he was playing Roy Keane's former side had anything to do with it, though, as well? He's playing really against Manchester United. So, really. For instance, if he'd scored against, I don't know, with all due respect, Ipswich or Brentford, Ipswich beat Spurs, actually, to be fair.
Keane's a Tottenham fan,
do you think... Yeah, but he's not really. He
no, he's not really. But
he said that himself.
But I don't think it's about scoring against Manchester United. Not really, because scoring against Manchester United as a headline and the words that I've said, if you just analyse the words, it's huge. scoring goals against Manchester United. For me, that's like memories of Gianfranco Zola sending Gary Pallister to one side before scoring. It's that's what it conjures up, like iconic moments. This Manchester United team are not that. This Manchester United team are porous. This Manchester United team concede goals. You're one of many players who scored a winner against Manchester United this season, James. One of many. And you did it from 2 yards. In a wonderful...
Out of interest, right? If he had scored an absolute screamer...
Beat 3 and pinged it in. Very different.
Really? So he could have done it if he'd done that?
No, I don't think you have the right to shush anyone in the exact circumstances. Ever. Like, your team is sitting in 12th. It doesn't matter if you win the Puskas Award. Your team is sitting in 12th and you've had an abject season. Your team are in disarray. There is a protest going on. Like, what are you doing? It's not just about you. Tottenham are in disarray. The fans, the disparity between the fans and the players and the ownership, it's all gone wrong. The manager is on the brink. It's all gone wrong. And you're using it as an opportunity to go, shh, I'm the man. Like, how conceited, how misjudged, how misplaced. And all it's really done is completely buy into Roy Keane's assessment of James Maddison. And then, like you say, like posting a clip to his TikTok account. They're 12th. It's actually tragic. I find it pitiful. I find James Maddison actually quite pitiful. Like, don't get me wrong, I think he's an all right player. I think he's an all right player. He is a very good footballer. They're 10 a penny though. He is another very good Premier League footballer who will ultimately be forgotten in a decade.
Do you know what?
They're everywhere.
I can't wait for next week where he does it again, and this time it's aimed at you.
But the way that
he'll pull up his shirt and have Rory Jennings had it wrong the whole time.
Yeah, Rory Jennings is right. Like, Rory Jennings is right about Madison. Like, the way that you do your talking on the pitch, if that's the thing, right? You let your football do the talking. The way that you do that is by winning silverware, not by scoring one fairly insignificant goal. Like, it took Tottenham up to 12th. It doesn't really matter to Manchester United. Both are more preoccupied by other competitions this season. So it's a fairly irrelevant goal that he scored. It took his team to 12th. And off the back of that, he tried to go viral on TikTok. I mean, like, mate, that's not a footballer who is... Think about iconic footballers that you believe are, like, you know, elites.
Yeah, I mean... But,
I'll always think Lampard.
Yeah.
Frank Lampard scored a goal.
Yeah, but he didn't have TikTok.
If Frank Lampard... He doesn't have TikTok now, though. Yeah. If Frank Lampard scored a goal to take Chelsea to 12th...
You don't think he'd have shushed someone? You don't think he'd have shushed the pundit?
Mate, not to take Chelsea.
Even if the game was more relevant. You know, I do understand your point that this is, you know, like we said, it's a game between two teams in the bottom half of the table. League campaign's absolute disaster given where they should be. But even if there was, you know, high stakes and he'd been, I
don't think an elite footballer does it. I don't think any elite footballer. Frank Lampard will always be my go-to example, and I think he's a good example here because James Maddison is a B-Tech example of Frank Lampard, isn't he? Frank Lampard is everything James Maddison wants to be. Elite, a winner, somebody that drives a team to victory, a free scoring midfielder, better than James Maddison at everything. But James Maddison is the B-Tech version of Lampard. So let's use Lampard as a comparison. I think it's fair enough. Gerrard is interchangeable here as well. If Gerrard scored a tap-in to take Liverpool to 12th, I think he would be shamed that Liverpool were in 12th under his watch. Not taking to TikTok to go, did you see what I just did? James Maddison, why are your team in 12th? If you're such a good footballer, shushing everybody, how average are you actually for you to have your team in 12th? And then give it the big one off the back of it.
Do you know what I always feel, because you mentioned Gerrard there, I always feel bad. Do you remember his last goal for Liverpool and they were losing 6-0 to Stoke?
Wasn't it? Yeah.
And he scored and he went and picked the ball out the back of the net. I love that though. But you're right, you know, the contact
winning mentality, rather than somebody else.
He knew not even to think, right, this is about me.
You can't even celebrate it.
You can't celebrate.
You can't celebrate. I don't think if your team are in 12th, regardless of the circumstances, you can't celebrate a tap-in. You just can't. And I think that shows you that Roy Keane was absolutely right in his assessment of James Maddison.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.